The Aurum Tower lobby was cloaked in a tense silence, as if time had frozen under the shadow of ancient magic. Shards of shattered tempered glass littered the marble floor, glinting like snow under the trembling crystal chandeliers. A faint metallic scent mingled with the acrid burn of magic hung in the air, blending with the soft creak of an elevator door in the distance. The crowd, men in silk suits, women in shimmering gowns, and Aurum Group employees with crescent moon badges, stared at Hanzhen Eldrin with eyes filled with fear and awe. The young man, clad in a tattered gray coat and a knit cap covering his disheveled black hair, lounged on a black leather sofa, holding an old journal that smelled of weathered paper. The silver dragon pendant around his neck emitted a cold gleam, its sapphire eyes whispering of buried secrets. "What was that?" hissed a woman at the reception desk, her trembling hand clutching a pen. "He didn't even touch them. What kind of magic was that?" "A dark sorcerer," muttered a suited man in the corner, backing up until his back hit the wall. "The Arcane Council needs to know about this. He's no non-mage." Hanzhen ignored the whispers, his eyes fixed on the alchemical journal in his hands, though his mind drifted to the Shadow River, to the night his mother, blood streaming down her face, pushed him into a portal. "You are the Shadow Dragon Hanzhen," she had whispered, her voice breaking amid the blasts of Elyra Vionne's magic. "Don't let the darkness consume you." Hanzhen touched his dragon pendant, feeling a strange warmth flow into his fingers, as if his mother were still by his side. He glanced at the suited man on the sofa beside him, whose face was pale as paper. "When will Elyra Vionne come down?" Hanzhen asked, his voice calm but carrying a tone that made the hairs on the back of the neck stand up. The man flinched, his briefcase clattering to the floor. I don't know," he stammered, then bolted for the exit, followed by others hurrying away as if Hanzhen were the shadow of death itself. Hanzhen shook his head, a faint smile curving his lips. "Didn't mean to make them run," he muttered, his voice tinged with sarcasm. "But if they're scared of a little umbre, what would they do if I tried Noctivance?" He chuckled softly, imagining shadows dancing after them out of the lobby. Moving shadows. The lobby doors swung open with a harsh creak, and a dozen security guards marched in, their black uniforms gleaming with silver crescent moon insignias. They carried rune-etched shields that glowed faintly, and Volcrus staves, wooden staffs crackling with blue electric sparks, ready to strike defiant sorcerers. Leading them was a tall man with a hardened face, a scar slashing across his cheek like a badge of war. Torin Vax, captain of Aurum Tower security, fixed Hanzhen with narrowed eyes, his instincts, honed from years as a shadow hunter for the Arcane Council, ringing like warning bells. "You," Torin greeted, his voice low and firm, "dare cause chaos in Aurum Tower. 2 guards injured, glass shattered, and you sit here like you're on a picnic. Who are you, and what's your business?" Hanzhen closed his journal, meeting Torin's gaze with obsidian eyes that glinted like polished stone. The shadows beneath his feet quivered, like living mist ready to move. "Hanzhen Eldrin," he replied, his voice calm yet brimming with power. "I'm here to see Elyra Vionne. Those guards started it. I was just defending myself." "Umbri isn't a spell for slowpokes, you know," the crowd murmured, the name Eldrin striking like lightning among them. Torin stiffened, his grip tightening on his Volcrus stave. He knew the legend of the Eldrin family, ancient sorcerers once revered, destroyed by Elyra Vionne at the Moonlight Festival. But this young man in a shabby coat and with a casual demeanor carried an aura that made his heart race. Eldralith Magic, he thought, recognizing the faint dark mist around Hanzhen. "We've called the Veil Guardians," Torin said, stalling for time. "Surrender now, or you'll face consequences worse than broken glass." Hanzhen smiled, but his smile was cold, like a winter shadow. "I just want to sit and wait for Elyra. Aurum Tower doesn't mind a sofa, does it?" He reopened his journal, as if Torin's threat was mere background noise. Torin snorted, signaling his men. "Seize him," he ordered. The dozen guards advanced, their shields gleaming, Volcrus staves hissing with energy. Torin himself stepped forward, his hand glowing with faint lightning magic, aimed at Hanzhen's vital points. The shadows on the floor moved faster, like serpents slithering, and Hanzhen whispered, "Tenebrous lux." Instantly, a faint light bloomed from his shadows, disorienting the guards, making them stumble in sudden darkness. Just as Torin's hand nearly reached Hanzhen, a cold yet melodious voice cut through the tension. "Stop!" Shadows of the past. The crowd parted, and a woman stepped out of the elevator, her movements light yet commanding authority. Her jet-black hair flowed like a river under moonlight, and her white chiffon gown hugged her frame gracefully, radiating a soft but powerful magical aura. Her sharp, secretive eyes swept the lobby before landing on Hanzhen. In her hands, she held a small navy blue book, her fingers tracing its cover with care, as if it were a cherished memory. "Mira Thalin," Torin greeted with respect, bowing his head. "Director of Orum's Research Division. This isn't your concern. This man is dangerous." Hanzhen stared at Mira, his heart seeming to stop. Mira. Memories flooded his mind. A small sorcery academy on Lunareth's outskirts, where he and Mira studied together before the Moonlight Festival tragedy. Mira, the girl who always carried odd books and spoke of runes like poetry. The only one bold enough to defy the Arcane Council. When all of Lunareth shunned the Eldrin name, Mira had gone to the House of Sorcerers, gathered his parents' ashes, and built a simple monument on Silver Hill, adorned with runes that glowed faintly under the full moon. "Why did you do that, Mira?" Hanzhen thought, his hand touching the dragon pendant, now burning against his skin. "I was just a talentless kid, mocked by everyone." Mira gazed at him, her eyes widening with shock, yet glimmering with hope. "You..." Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. "You look so much like someone from the past. That pendant, has it ever spoken to you in the quiet of the night?" She smiled, a gentle yet eccentric smile, like a flower blooming in the midst of mist. The crowd murmured, the name Eldrin echoing again. Torin tensed, his Volcrus stave still hissing. "Mira, he's using Eldralith magic," he hissed. "We can't let him roam free here." "Enough, Torin," Mira cut in, her voice firm yet warm. "If he wants to wait for Elyra, let him. I'll take responsibility." She stepped closer to Hanzhen, her book still in hand, and asked, "Who are you really, and why have you returned to Lunareth?" Hanzhen stood, his eyes meeting Mira's, the shadows beneath his feet trembling like a beating heart. "Hanzhen Eldrin," he said, his voice low but powerful. "I've returned to finish what began 5 years ago, and perhaps to repay a kindness I never thought I'd find." He looked at Mira, and for the first time in 5 years, he felt a flicker of light in the darkness of his heart.